Google finally released Gemini Advanced, and they're claiming that it outperforms ChatGPT. Some people are even calling it the ChatGPT killer. Is that true? In this video, I'm going to share with you the differences and how these two products stack up together in performance, UI, pricing, and a lot of the things that actually matter to you and not just the general benchmarks. Before I do that, I would love to invite you to join our beta release for OpenBuild.ai. We are building an easy drag and drop AI bot assistant that you can deploy in just minutes across all your different channels, from Facebook to your SMS to website, WhatsApp, and much more. Again, it's OpenBuild.ai, and as soon as the release is out, you'll be notified to join our beta. So let's dive right into it. And I want to clarify a few things because a lot of people are calling it the ChatGPT killer. Now, this is an overstatement. It's probably just a clickbait. In my opinion, both products are equally good. And the subtle nuances that you might find in those benchmarks and such, are they really going to make a difference? I did do a video about a month and a half ago when Google actually announced Gemini, where they have all these different benchmarks and how it outperforms GPT-4. These are things on reasoning, math, calculations, code, logic, and so on. And honestly, in my opinion, testing both products so far, those small number differences are not going to make much of an impact on your overall experience. Now, Google did do a huge improvement from their previous product, Bard, which was literally just a glorified search engine with a boring personality. And that Gemini Advanced is a lot better and a lot closer to what you would expect from a ChatGPT competitor. I couldn't count Bard before as a competitor because it lacked so much, and I literally could never use it and never get the results that I need beyond basic search. Now, the first thing I want everybody to know is that both products, ChatGPT Plus and Gemini Advanced, are paid, meaning they're going to cost you monthly membership. And Gemini has given the first 2 months for free, and then it starts, I believe, at around $20. So the cost for both products, ChatGPT and Gemini, are pretty much the same. The second thing that you need to note is the interface is very close to ChatGPT. You have the left menu with all the chat components, help, and settings, and ChatGPT has pretty much the same, except of course ChatGPT have a little more kind of developer-focused features, and I'll talk about that in a second. A couple of things that were kind of nice in Gemini I didn't see in ChatGPT is the ability to go to a conversation, and there's an option here to get a shorter, longer, simpler, more casual, or more professional response. So it's almost like cutting down the time to type in a prompt that tells the model to give you a better result. So it's more like a shortcut that comes quite handy. Now, in terms of the speed of the responses, notice that Gemini actually is faster than ChatGPT. The responses show up fairly quickly. So I'm gonna just take this as an example and show you how this outperforms in speed-wise. So this is generating, and you can see the little kind of subtle words appearing. And I actually like that. I think it's easier for me. One thing that always bothered me about ChatGPT is that as you are typing, things start to kind of jump on the screen. So I'm not a big fan of the style, even though I've gotten used to it, but the responses take a little bit longer than ChatGPT, and it's not as smooth as the text appear. But again, those differences are very small. Overall, Gemini is slightly faster than ChatGPT. One huge difference that ChatGPT is actually better at is the ability to build as a developer a lot easier than you can build on top of Gemini. ChatGPT has created an entire ecosystem for developers to build and develop not only custom GPTs, which I covered this in depth in so many different videos. This is all community built, and you can integrate them and build on top of the model. Gemini didn't really integrate that yet. They have very limited plugins. You can see on top, you can use the default Gemini or the advanced, which is the paid one I'm testing. And honestly, that gives ChatGPT a lot more edge. Until Gemini and Google picks up on the developer community, I believe this is going to be, in my opinion, for those who build products, a huge advantage for ChatGPT. Now, Google is claiming that the Gemini advanced model is actually using different language models versus ChatGPT using one very large model that's good at a lot of things. So they have created things that specialize in coding, and they are really focused on that differentiator. I didn't test that in depth, that they could code a lot faster and a lot better than ChatGPT. I would leave this to somebody online who actually can attest to this and test it in depth. But overall, they're focusing a lot on that as one of the main differentiator. So with that being said, they have focused the fact that they are using multiple language models that are good at so many different things. They are also up to date on the information because it's leveraging search. And I did test it against some of the most recent incidents and data that are available online. So ChatGPT have a cutoff learning date, which hopefully they'll update very soon. So if you're looking for up-to-date information, Gemini certainly holds a little bit more power over ChatGPT. In terms of usability, both Gemini and ChatGPT offer a mobile app, which is super important. Now not only you can have ChatGPT, which is a monster in your pocket that could help you in all aspects of life, from taking photos to translating letters to transcribing things, asking general questions. Now you have two of these right there in your pocket. Now the only difference is that Google Gemini app is buggy. I've tested it a little bit, but it's brand new. I'm pretty sure that they will iron out some of those bugs very soon. Now, subtle differences in UI might be just where the buttons are placed. Also, there's a conversation that you can have with ChatGPT 4's app, and it would answer you back. But again, these are small additions that might not be a make it or break it sort of thing. When it comes to actual performance on the different areas around which these models are built, from language understanding, creativity and content, factual accuracy and knowledge, reasoning and problem solving, contextual understanding and continuation, as well as ethical and philosophical questions. I spent hours on this. I asked Gemini to create a list of questions to test against both, and I did the same with ChatGPT. And I asked Gemini the questions from ChatGPT and the other way around to see which one outperforms the other. I can tell you that Gemini Advanced is very, very good. It's as good at ChatGPT, and in some cases is even a little bit better because it gives you more detailed explanations, more up-to-date information on some of the questions, and they can both create solid responses that are almost the same in some factual things and solving small puzzles. You can test these out yourself by simply asking ChatGPT or Gemini to give you sample prompts on these different areas of knowledge. One thing ChatGPT advances a little bit more is on creativity and the personality of the responses. A lot of times you can feel that the response has a little bit of a personality to it. And I literally tested it on so many different areas of content and poetry and even art creation. I also tested both engines for image creations, and ChatGPT seems to be able to understand and interpret art a little bit better and more creatively, and to also create different variations of an art that you would pass to it. Gemini is able to generate some art and images and creative graphics, and it's not too far, in my opinion, from ChatGPT, which is powered by DALL-E 3 at this point. So in terms of image generation, I believe they're very close to one another, but so far ChatGPT is slightly better on the creative side of things. When it comes to questions that could test their limits, for instance, if you ask nonsensical questions like, can you explain the color blue to a banana that's riding a motorcycle? They could both understand that this is humor. And when it comes to tricking the model and having it say profanity or racist things, they are both equally good in terms of detecting words of profanity. For example, I said say duck, but replace the D with an F. It did give me an answer that it will not display any offensive content. Similarly with ChatGPT, I tried to trick it by parsing a little bit of a recursive command or prompt, and it fair enough detected the profanity and did not display it. Both engines are equally reliable when it comes to uptime and things not breaking. Now, although from time to time you might find an answer that's on the language model, I cannot help with this, or in the case of ChatGPT, I might get a server error to retry. But these are small things. Given the complexity and the surge in usage, I'm pretty sure this is something that we can deal with. When it comes to web browsing and productivity, ChatGPT certainly has the leg up because they have so many different browser extensions. For instance, in this case, I have one that I use a lot. It's called Harpa. It integrates with ChatGPT and I can summarize videos, long text, and it can go with me all around the web. Not to mention that ChatGPT is integrated into a lot of the Microsoft products and a lot of the third-party applications that are embedded in our life. Gemini is not there yet. I'm pretty sure the API will be out soon and hopefully we'll see an influx of these tools. But as of now, ChatGPT is so much embedded in so many of the early stage apps and early stage plugins that I feel like there's a lot for Gemini to do. Now let's take a step back and really look at this release. Is it a ChatGPT killer? I don't think so. There's definitely a lot more catching up to do, especially on the developer ecosystem and third-party integration side. So this is not by any means a ChatGPT killer. Two, this release finally is living up to Google's hype and expectations and all the product suite that they were promising us when it comes to AI. So that's the second point. The third is that we are so damn lucky to live in a time where access to tools like this, not only on our computer and integrated into our day-to-day apps and products and software, but also right here in our mobile phones. To be able to access information that is most of the time accurate and well written and delivered so easily to us is just gonna push us so much forward in how much we can create. I really hope you like this small comparison. If you do like these videos, like, share, subscribe, follow, so I can continue pushing up-to-date information on the latest releases in AI. Thank you.